Welcome back, everyone, to the Authentic as Fuck podcast. My name is Sun. I'm a storyteller, I'm a marketer. And in this podcast, we usually help some of our members go through their branding, marketing help, storytelling help. But today we have a special episode. We have Katerina, who is from Greece. Let's do a quick intro first of you, and then I'll explain.
My name is Katerina. I am from Greece. I am a copywriter and content writer. So I do things having to do with digital marketing. And I used to be a teacher, tutoring for over 20 years. So that's me. Okay. And I'm a proud Night Owl Nation member now.
And so you're not a therapist.
So I wanted to ask, are you going to be my therapist or am I going to be yours in this podcast?
Well, I thought you were going to be my therapist.
We can do both, you know.
Yeah. I will have a conversation, but the idea for this episode was that, usually I ask all the questions and, I kind of help our audience, like our members. But on this one, I'm the one that's on the hot seat. So it's going to be interesting. So, all right, let's start.
What pisses you off? Really? But really?
You can what pisses me off more than anything else? So I don't want to sound like a dick, but what pisses me off more than anything else is somebody who talks about something like they don't really know about. Like
so they pretend being an expert.
Yeah. That's what you mean. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the stuff that really triggers me. So when I go into a room, right? Like this is like my pet peeve. Like when I go into a meeting with a client or something like that, and they hire some consultant or some manager, some middle-level manager. And like the thing about mid-level managers is that they're completely useless. They don't need to be there. I feel like mid-level managers, actually, by having mid-level managers, it actually makes the whole process worse, not better. So because, they're not leaders, right? Like they're not leading anyone, but they're also not doers, meaning they're not the ones that are making coding, designing. They're not doing that. And they're not leading, meaning like getting people to motivated and get them on the same page. They're not doing that either. They're just there to save their own job. So what middle managers usually do is when I'm going to a meeting, they talk the talk and they take all the credit and they make it seem like they're doing all the work when they're not doing anything. And but because they know how to talk, most people don't know that, right? So they're going there like, oh wow, yeah, like all the bosses might be going there like, okay, but I mean that only works in the short run, right? So that really pisses me off because I'm like,
can you work with them? Or
no? That's why
what happens next?
That's why first of all, that's why I left corporate America. Okay. Like I could not work in corporate America, and when I was working with corporate clients, like for the first 5 years of my agency, we were working with mostly corporate clients. Oh my gosh, it was I felt like I left a 9-to-5 job to work in my own 9-to-5 job.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because when I was working with big clients, those middle managers were my clients. I had to deal with them, right? So it was like even worse. So yeah.
That's what I was about to say this. If you have to work with them, wouldn't you be, somehow prejudiced against them or?
Like you mean, like, can I pretend?
Have you met some of them being, nice, smart?
Helpful? Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm generalizing here, right? Obviously, not all middle managers are like that, but and some of them are super nice, and even when they're nice, I get frustrated working with them because I can't really. It's hard for me to make progress because. Okay. Like they're not like this is something that usually happens where I'm trying to actually make a good website. I'm trying to actually solve problems. They're like, okay, let's just do it like this. And then they just kind of brush over everything. So it stops me from being able to deliver the best work because they don't really care about best work actually. And you know what? You know what also happens? A lot of them are very they play office politics. So they actually don't want me to come up with good ideas. They don't want me to come up with a good idea that's going to make them look bad because they'll like, then their boss is going to be like, how come you didn't come up with that idea or something like that, right? So it's really tough. And that's, I think, the reason why I'm not really good at that office politics. And that's the reason why, I had the same exact job. I never got promoted for 5 years. Even though I was like one of the best person in that job, I didn't get promoted because I didn't know how to play that game. And that's why if I stayed in corporate America, I probably would still have that same job.
I was asking, who's dealing with middle managers now for your business? You?
We don't have middle managers in our company. Yeah.
I mean, when you have to work with them, with the client's middle manager.
Oh yeah, no. Now mostly we work with two things. Mostly we work with personal brands, so they don't have middle managers. And for corporate clients, these are clients that we've been working together for a while. So yeah, so they know I'm like that. So they put up with me. If the ones that couldn't put up with me, they all left.
I can't say what I'm thinking. Okay.
What do you want to say?
No, I won't say it.
Why?
No, I won't.
Say it.
It's their loss. I would say it's their loss. They should have known better. That's what I was going to say.
But it's not that I don't understand. I understand why it's like that and why they're like that. One time I was listening to this one YouTube video where Jordan Peterson was talking about how he made this product for corporate, right? Where it's supposed to help. It's like this training tool that's supposed to help the employees become more productive and they're more self-aware and things like that. But it wasn't selling. Nobody was buying it. And what he realized is that the HR department, who's the decision maker to buy that, didn't want to buy that because what happens is if they buy it and it works well, they don't see the result until 2-3 years later. And then by 2-3 years later, the HR department is not getting any of the credit. It's the managers of that people that are getting all the credit. They're like, so there's zero incentive for them to actually fix anything. It's kind of like the homeless problem in America. Like the governors and the politicians have and the people who are supposed to fix homelessness have no incentive to fix homelessness because if they're getting paid $250,000 a year to fix homelessness, and if they actually they can fix it in a year. But if they fix it, they're out of a job. So they have no incentive. So corporate structure is set up like that. So I don't blame them.
Yeah, that's bad. Which brings another question. Worst conflict ever?
Oh man, I have so many.
In your business?
In my business? Yeah, I guess I think I tell this story before, so it's not new. I was trying to see if that was it. I mean, I have two, right? One where I left my old job to start Night Owl, my agency.
Yeah, I remember.
Because what happened was at that time, like I hated my boss, and but I left in not such a great way because, yeah, I left because I was like, fuck you, I don't care. and just left. But what I didn't realize is I was actually hurting my other teammates that was there, because they still had to stay there and clean up my mess, right? Because I left, right? But I wasn't thinking like that. If I was young, I was stupid. So, But I think the
I'm not
biggest.
sure. I'm not sure. I agree. But okay. I'm not sure I agree.
I mean, we don't have to agree, but
we can't agree in everything, of course. But I'm not sure what you could possibly do, because if you try to
what I should have done
communicate
was going back. What I should have done was I should have. I was a resentful little bastard. Like, you ever been in a relationship where like you see the red flags, and you see like but because you're like, I can make this work, I can fix this, and you ignore the red flags and you try to fix it and you try to ignore it, and then another year passes by, right? And then boom, like something blows up, and you're like, oh, and then the conflict happens, right? But then what I should have done was, as soon as I noticed the red flags, I should have confronted him, and I should have had that uncomfortable conversation with my boss. I should have slowly made a decision, and over a period of a month or two, I should have properly, I should have removed myself. Yeah.
But if you try to communicate, to share the feeling with your colleagues, then maybe you had left. You would have left, all of you, I mean, all together. So maybe it would be even worse.
I could have done my best to make it smooth transition for everyone, right? But what I did was I didn't.
Depends.
And sometimes that means sacrifice. Sometimes that means me making a sacrifice, like me having to stay there for another couple months dealing with the bullshit. But that would have been better for the overall company. Like I was very bitter. Let's just say that. Like
but you can't know. You can't always know. I mean, when it's happening, the pressure.
Yeah, it's different when it's Looking back, it's easy to say.
Yeah. I know because I've been there. Or I've left a job and it was like I had difficult times there, but they are like my family at the same time. I love them. I still love them. And when time passes and everything is, you can look at it in a different way, but in a different perspective. But when you feel the pressure and and the bitterness, this is bad. I'm not sure that it could have been differently done. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think now, if it happened now, how before we were talking about I just brush stuff off. Like now, I think I would have, I would have handled it probably a little better than before. But
we're all
I mean, that
now.
was 15 years ago, so I mean, it was a long time ago.
Son,
I was young.
You may edit it if you want. How old are you? You can pass as well. You can.
I'm 43.
You're 43. Yeah. Okay.
So I was like in my mid-20s, maybe, when that happened.
I would bet that you were my Dongseng, a bit younger than me, but okay. Almost 2 years older.
Oh, I am.
Yes,
I guess that's a compliment.
Can't you tell? What do you mean? Can't you tell?
It's a compliment.
Obvious?
Huh? Well, because you're a mom, right? And when I talk to moms, I always feel like moms are always more mature. Because when you have kids, that makes you a real adult, right? Like to me, I don't think of myself as like a real adult because I don't have kids.
Taking care of others can make you, grow older and grow up, or feel more mature. But it's not happening all the time. And plus, you're a teacher. Teachers are both No, we were talking when I was teaching. We were talking with my colleagues, and we were saying that we're like vampires because
But,
we get there, we stay young forever because we have to. We dealt with teenagers, so yeah, it was like you have to stay young forever. But at the same time, yeah, it's the way they talk, the music they
that's
listen
true.
to.
Yeah.
You
You have
have
to stay on
to
top of the
cope.
trend.
Yeah, you have to cope. And on the other hand, you get more mature naturally because you can't. It's under your umbrella. It's
Yeah.
your responsibility.
Yeah,
So
maybe that's what I think of, like my employees almost like I want to take care of them. Like I don't just think of it as like, you know, boss, like coworker kind of relationship. So somebody once told me, one of my friends actually told me this, like he has 2 kids. And we were talking about like kids, no kids, that type of deal. And he's like, oh, I can see why you don't really need kids, because like your team is like your kids. Like you're getting so much fulfillment from like taking care of your team that maybe that's why I don't really feel the need to have kids or something like that. I don't
it
know.
is it is fulfilling. Having kids, it's totally different though.
Yeah.
Trust me,
Of
totally
course.
different. Yeah,
you
and
can't just fire your kid.
and this inner child of yours, sometimes want to. I cannot take care of others anymore. I want some rest.
Yeah, you
And
can't
then
just take a break.
you can, when they grow up a little bit, you can find some time for you and your partner and start doing things you love again. And they're more independent. And you're like, yes, we're going to have some time off, off them. And then you miss them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know,
I do see, but I do see what you were talking about there, because in New York, I do see like a lot of couples after their kids like graduate, like go to college or something like that, they'll move back into Manhattan, or like they'll go traveling for like a year, or like they do the more adventurous stuff like single people would do again. Like, so yeah, it's interesting. But I think I wanted to finish answering your question. The real
yeah, we have the second conflict.
Yeah.
Haven't forgot.
The second conflict was, so I had this one team member who was kind of a core part of the team. He was like in charge of all the bringing new business and things like that. And what happened was, like, he didn't really care about, the direction of the company, like having his, like, he was just like, whatever, just go with the flow type of guy, right? But throughout the 2 years, I get this sense like, because every idea is like, son, we should have this is one of the things, like, this is a good example, right? Son, we should have like a lower tier package, for and we don't have to make those websites great. We just give them like something something like simple and mediocre, and then we'll charge like
red flags.
But and that makes sense, actually, business wise. That would have made a lot of sense for us, because
but not if your boss is Sunny Yi,
in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, this is gonna ruin our brand.
He shouldn't have said that to you. He could have thought about it, but he shouldn't say, I guess.
So he brought, but he brought a lot of ideas like that to me, right? And a lot of them actually, like, looking at from his perspective, like, it was right. If we just if our number one priority and focus was profit and making the most profit, a lot of those decisions he made was actually right, and I was wrong.
Okay.
But I guess in my mind, profit is not the number one priority, right? I didn't want to.
That's why we're friends. Maybe that's why we'll become friends one day. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like money. So but I
I
didn't
love
want to
money,
ruin.
but
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't want to ruin our reputation, as because that's kind of like what the previous company I was in did. They sold like really cheap websites, and they were like a factory, website factory, boom, 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 right? And I also knew all the headaches that come with it. But anyway, I kept turning down his idea, turning down like for 2 years, right? But not in a big way. I'm like, oh, I don't think that's gonna work because of this, right? And he's like, all right, like I just a suggestion, whatever, right? But like I can still feel a little bit of tension there, very, very, very tiny, very subtle, right?
Were you telling him it's not a good idea, or were you telling him I don't want this for us?
Yeah, I said no, I don't want to do that because, and then I'll give him a reason, and he's like, okay, right.
Okay.
But what happened was at the end, like 2 years into it, one day, like he was going on vacation actually, and the day before he was going on vacation, he texted me and said, "Hey, let's talk when I get back." And I'm like, "What? What about what?" And I was like,
We need to
"Red
talk.
flag." Yeah, I'm like, "No, we got to talk right now because I'm going to be thinking about this all week." So we get in the office and we started talking, and he said he's leaving the company, and we were like, why, and blah blah blah, all of these, all these things. At first, like he was giving a lot of excuses, but then finally he said, "Son, I realized that you're never gonna let me make any decisions, right?" And he wasn't saying it to be mean. He was just kind of saying honestly what he felt, and he wasn't like bitter about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, and it's understand because you're the boss or whatever, right?" But then that just like broke me. I and I didn't realize why back then. I was just very like angry at him. But looking back, what I realized is like the reason why it broke me is that company that I left, the toxic company I left. That's basically what happened there, where I was actually a partner, like a minority partner of that company. And my boss would always like basically never let me do anything my way, right? He was like, my way, no, son, like my way, you're wrong, like that type of deal. And when I left that company, I promised myself, I'm like, I'm never gonna be like him. I'm gonna be the cool boss that I'm gonna let people try stuff, and I'm gonna be more open minded. And when he said that, it was like it was a realization for me, and also it's almost like me getting exposed, right? But like, holy shit! Like even though I wasn't an asshole, like
I can see the trigger. I can hear you. I hear you.
yeah. So that's what happened. I think that's why I just
It's not the
like
same
I started
though.
crying. Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same.
Maybe you were crying because you were hurt, but that doesn't mean that the two things were the same.
I think I think yeah, it's part of it, but there was like a part of it where I realized that I was doing that, and this was years later I realized this, but I was really also a bad leader in the beginning. Meaning, for example, right now, what I would do is somebody comes to me with an obviously bad idea that I know I don't agree with. I wouldn't just say no, let's do, unless it's like a time crunch, it's like an emergency, and we need this done by tomorrow or something. It's not, if we have time and we have some room to wiggle. What I'll do is like okay, oh, like I'll ask them like why would you, what like why do you think we should have that smaller package, and I'll ask them a little bit, and I'll ask them kind of explain, and at the end if they still insist on doing it, I'll be like, okay, let's try it then, and I'll let them try it, and I'll let them give it a shot, and then I'll let them figure out that why it was wrong, and then have them realize it on their own rather than telling them no, because that would save me a lot more time in the long run if I actually handed them, if I actually gave them that responsibility and freedom, and then they learn on their own. That's a much better lesson than me telling them no.
That's right. But it has to be, when you have common values with people working with you or working for you, things are always easier.
That's true.
That doesn't mean that it will go, smoothly or whatever. But
See, but this is the thing, right? This is why I'm not a big fan of like when Brene Brown talks about leadership and stuff like that, because from outside looking in, everything is like, this is what leadership coaches do, like Simon Sinek, Brene Brown is like, Brene Brown talks about vulnerability, but like a lot of these leadership coaches talks about, that's why you need to share same values in the company, blah, 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 right? That's easier said than done. It's really easy to say, okay, everybody needs the same value, but okay, I still need a CFO who's going to make sure that we're profitable and we make money. And for that person, their value can't be like, like my value is I don't care about money, right? I care more about delivering a good service. Like, so if that person actually shared the exact same value as me, we would go out of business. Do you understand what I mean? So there's a lot of nuance to this, and I think that's
Yeah, I meant in a deeper. I don't know, how do I say this?
Like a core value, like
yeah.
So that's
the core values. So I cannot deliver from a point and lower.
Yeah. There has to be a minimum.
Yeah. There has to be a minimum.
But the thing is, at that time, we were actually kind of financially struggling a little bit. So it was actually right that he suggested that. Do you understand what I mean? And this is why business is so tough. People who have never like operated a certain size business or led a certain number of people from the outside, like these experts who give leadership advice and all these business coaches that's never built a business before, they give these advices thinking like, oh yeah, just do this. Oh yeah, you just need common value. Oh, just be vulnerable. And they give this like blanket advices. The reason why they don't get it is because they've actually never been in a situation. Okay, what if I'm in a situation where this person wants to quit? Like, I have one guy who wants to quit, and I have another person who, like, I have a client who's yelling at me, and this other person is like, giving me ideas where I know it's not going to work. Sometimes I have to put my foot down and be like, no, just do it my way. Sometimes I have to be firm. You know what I mean? So
yes.
Running a business is very nuanced like that. It's like, it's not like just one blanket. Oh, just be vulnerable. Oh, just have core values. Just it sounds easy.
As everything in life, nothing just about generic.
I guess this is like, before you were asking me what makes you the most angry, I think, or something like that. Like, that's when somebody who's never ran a business before gives business advices like that as if it was easy. That really bothers me, because I'm like, it then reminds me of that middle manager who doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I know. And
you're getting me triggered now.
Yeah. I wanted to ask. I promised tons of content. I promise. You're gonna post like, have you talked to him since then?
Oh yeah, no, we still talk. We're still kind of like, we're not like best friends, but he works with one of my first employees who started their own company, and now they work together. And that person, the person that started his own company, he's actually one of my best friends now. So yeah.
Is he a follower?
Like, he's one of those, remember, I don't know if you heard me talk about this, like, most of my friends, like, in real life, actually don't know anything about this world of personal development. Like, he doesn't even know who Tony Robbins is, right? So
okay, but not knowing who Tony
he follows
Robbins
me, but he doesn't really care.
Okay, and
he doesn't really care about my content.
what you're doing, it's different.
Yeah. No, every time we meet, it's like, oh, how's everything going, and we talk about it, but he doesn't.
You remind me of my sister, who says, can you explain again
What you do?
doing?" And then she says to everyone that I'm the Chandler of the family, Chandler from Friends, who was talking about
Chandler, yeah.
Yeah, Chandler. In Friends, he was talking about his job, and no one would ever understand what's this that he's doing. So she calls me Chandler of the family because don't laugh.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am with all my friends. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like it's yeah. So when I'm hanging out with my friends, we don't talk about any of this stuff. Yeah.
I have friends who are marketers, so but I have friends who have nothing to do with that, or who have okay, they know about social media, but that's it. Okay.
Yeah, they don't really care. Yeah.
So I have to explain what actually what I do, how do I do it? I'm writing. What I'm writing. The word in Greek is for copywriter or content writer. Is a word that means the person who writes texts. Not scripts, or it's text.
Not like a writer.
So,
yeah,
not like a writer. If you say content writer, they're looking at you like, what? Content meaning? Writing what?
So wait, so is Greece not like very tech savvy?
So we have to use the word copywriter or content writer in English, and probably the people who already know the meaning will get it.
Got it.
So
that's how you test.
Marketers,
that's how you can kind of test.
Freelancers who have to do with marketing, or agencies, they say, I need a copywriter or a content writer. But if you say so to a businessman somehow, they will look at you like, what? And it's our job to.
I think it's the same in Korea, actually. Like I think Korea is still kind of like in the traditional model, like of advertising, and not like how the new digital model.
Yeah, Korea is a different market. I don't know about copywriters, but as far as the content is concerned, they're mostly on YouTube, and when they say content, they mean video, just video. Content writing, I'm not sure.
So I also think that content is not huge there, like how it is here. Like they still have.
Because,
I think for them. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
For them, I think it's a lot like when they say content, I think they talk about podcasts, like YouTube shows, things like that. Yeah, it's totally different. The way Koreans market and here are very different. And what Korean consumers are drawn to and what Americans are drawn to is very different too.
I don't know, because in Korea the industry of K-pop and the K-wave in general is huge. So it's a huge market.
It's huge everywhere. Not just in Korea.
So it's something totally different with countries like ours. We have small businesses, family businesses. That's the main thing here. The huge companies, maybe if you see their social media, you're gonna be right. Like, what? Are they huge? Really? With this Instagram account, with this website? Is this really a copy?
Well, so it's kind of like how it's like how US was maybe 10, 15 years ago. Because that's how it was back then. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe more. So,
but I thought they would have like the European influence, because that's not how it is in other European countries.
European influence about what?
Because like if you go to like UK, for example, UK is very similar to US. like in terms of,
Yeah.
the marketing.
Have nothing to do with the rest of the Europe, by the way.
That's
Rest of
true.
Europe. No,
But
yeah.
I think it spreads from there, like UK, and then like maybe if you go to like Italy, it's a little bit not as much as UK, but and Germany, and like maybe, and then as it spreads, maybe it becomes more and more different. But yeah, Italy is way behind too, like in terms of their social media.
We have social media in Greece are growing and growing and growing, and new businesses and freelancers and entrepreneurs are starting to, they understand that they can't be absent, because if you're not there, somebody else will be.
What about the consumers?
So it's growing.
Do the consumers use social media a lot?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, so it's the businesses haven't caught up yet.
Yeah, the businesses as well. Mostly Instagram, as I told you before. Yeah, and now maybe TikTok.
TikTok is the future.
Faster.
I don't know if it's the future, but
Facebook. Yeah. We use Facebook. We still use Facebook a lot.
Facebook is not dead yet. Yeah, it's
No,
I think they
it's not
reached a
dead.
new milestone. 2 billion active users, which was the most and this just happened recently. So they're still actually growing.
Do you know why?
Why?
It's the best place to have a community.
Community? Yeah. Like Facebook groups, you mean?
Facebook groups and the feeling of community, because it's different when you communicate and you can comment and then the other comments and then go like that, or post different kinds of content. Instagram isn't so flexible.
That's true.
TikTok is so fast, and so I guess that's why.
Facebook has more sharing tools. Like if you want to share content, it accommodates that much better than Instagram. Because Instagram, the only way you can share is on your stories.
On your stories or via other applications.
Yeah.
You can do it. But nobody does it. Plus, it's, Facebook. You can be on Facebook and search for something and find something older, really older, and bring it up again.
That's true.
And talk about it again, which is actually flexibility. Other social media don't have that.
I should use Facebook more.
Okay.
Here, like a lot of the younger people don't use Facebook at all. Like I actually know a lot of young people here, like in their 20s, don't even have a Facebook account.
Yeah. I know many of them too. Most of my students, not now, years ago. They were.
And I actually think Instagram is becoming like
Instagram, that. Have an Instagram account. Facebook is for old people. Blah blah. Yeah.
But Instagram is becoming kind of like that now. Like I know some people, like really young people, who doesn't even use Instagram.
Because
they just use TikTok.
Growing. Yeah. It's faster. But in Greece, Instagram is strong, and it's even stronger for businesses. I'm not sure why, but I guess it's something between, Facebook and TikTok.
Facebook is a little bit overwhelming, I think, for a lot of people. So there's a lot going on. Instagram is super simple, right? Like it's very simple for people to.
Yeah, or maybe it depends on the speed you like to, I also think use Facebook to read the news or whatever, which doesn't happen in Instagram.
Oh, you think so? I feel like when I think of Facebook feels more like a social network, meaning like it's for me sharing with me and my friends and family. Instagram feels a little bit more like public. Do you understand what I mean?
I have something to say for Greece. Okay, I can't speak for other markets for now. When something bad happens, when something important in terms of, politics, for example, okay, happen. Facebook will be the media. To talk, to have a fight.
What, there
to
was something like that, right? Like, I don't really follow politics, but wasn't there something big that happened in Greece like 10 years ago or something like that? Where like there's the social media kind of like really spread the. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
We had a huge crisis, the economic crisis, the worldwide crisis, but in Greece, things were really awful. And then we had the IMF here, and things got,
But wasn't it like through social media that?
Yeah,
because I remember like through social media
movement. It was a movement, and it started from Facebook, from a Facebook group, and it was called, those who are pissed off in Syntagma Square, which is the main square of Athens, in front of the parliament. So it started, moving people, get people moved, and in every way moved and moving. So people were.
It was like a revolution.
Yeah, revolution. That's a heavy word.
What about Twitter?
Twitter is the main media for politics and, this kind of.
So Facebook and Twitter is like the because that's I think it's the same here.
And we don't have threads yet. In order to have thread, you have to we have to wait for a little bit longer. You have to change.
I don't think thread is going to catch on. That's my personal.
I agree, but don't post it yet. Because we're marketers, and
I already posted it on Twitter. The way I mean, I could be. But
if you are on Twitter, you can't post it. If you are in Elon's house, it's okay to say things like that about threads.
And I'm also not afraid of being wrong. I've had so many times in my company where I would be like, when I talk, right? People think that, oh, son, you're so convicted. Like you really believe in this, right? I can believe in this. I can believe in something so strongly, and then next week you can prove me wrong, and then I would just let it go. Like, even though I might be like, oh, I so believe in this, and if I prove like, oh, I guess I was wrong. I have no problem doing that.
The important thing is to, believe in what you do and what you say at that specific time. It's the proper thing to be said then. So for after a year or 2 years or a week,
I might change my mind.
We'll see. Yeah, I have changed my mind a lot.
I think but I meet so many people who are afraid to post something or afraid to say something because like they feel that if I believe in something, like it has to be forever. I like they have this feeling like, oh, I can't say this and then
I used to be like that. It's like everything, but I was young.
I think it's human nature.
I don't know. Maybe you want to believe, to have these, very strong values and beliefs. And
I think it's because we don't want to admit we were wrong. That's why.
That too. But when you are in this state, you say, you think, oh, I won't back off. This is it. This will never change. I will be like that and believe in that forever. But no, it won't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
that the marketers actually, I don't know if you know this, but marketers actually use that to their advantage. What they do is, when I see this happening so many times, like for example, somebody will be like, hey, I just signed up for a Tony Robbins seminar and this is going to change my life, right? And they go tell all their friends about it. It's like, oh my gosh, Tony Robbins is amazing. They're like, this is gonna change my life, and blah blah blah. I just paid, $3,000 for this, $5,000 for this program, when that guy basically has no money, right? Like he took out a credit card debt in order to go to this program. And then what happens is they go there and they're like, oh, it's very like Tony Robbins is a very motivational guy, right? Those moments are like super motivational. And then he's like, yes. And then it's like in a really good place that week. And then they come home, and then they're like, oh, I have a clear purpose in my life now. And like this, they start going to the gym, they start a business, and start doing all of these. And then, a few weeks later, it slows down a little. And then all their friends are like, basically saying that you're stupid. Why are you wasting money going to this thing? And because I said, now I put my foot down, right? I made a statement that says, Tony Robbins is amazing. This is going to change my life.
So I have to prove myself right.
Exactly. So 3 months later, when he gives up and the motivation is not there anymore, and they go back to their old life, the friends are like going to make fun of him, right? They're going to be like, what happened? Huh? I thought you got to do this, blah, blah, blah. But what happened? Because I put my foot down, I have to be right. I actually defend Tony Robbins. And I'm like, oh, it's not, I still believe in it. There's nothing wrong with Tony Robbins' program.
Sometimes, sometimes, right, exactly.
I'm the problem. I didn't put in the work. And Tony Robbins
you prefer to say you're the problem. You prefer to say I'm the problem, but not my choice. My choice was right.
And actually, Tony Robbins they subconsciously train you to say that, because what they say is like, if this is because on the seminar they say that this work is not going to be easy. It's not for everyone, and some people fail because you didn't put in the work. So they already brainwash you up front, and that's the reason why all these programs get no bad reviews at all, because everybody thinks that it's their problem, even though it actually doesn't work for most people.
On the other hand, if we have to do with adults, and we have adults in our community or under our umbrella, or we have to teach them, convincing them to do things they don't want to do, it's not going to work every time. Just saying. Some friends of mine who are in the valley.
This is what I think, right? I think what all of these training programs, Tony Robbins, all these courses and stuff like that, I have no problem with. They're all great and they're all help people. I think what I have a problem with is the marketing of it, the messaging and the marketing. I think what Tony Robbins should do is say, this is a motivational program. What's going to happen is you come here, it's like you're going to a concert, right? It's going to inspire you, it's going to motivate you, but that motivation is not going to last. So unless you keep coming back every couple of months, it's not going to work, right? I think we should be honest about that. But we shouldn't make it seem like, we shouldn't sell it like this is going to be a complete life changer for you, when it's really not for a majority of the people who go there, right? Because at some point, they're going to phase out. It's kind of like this, right? When I buy a $25 book, Atomic Habits, right? I'm going into a business agreement with James Clear, who's the author of the book, saying, hey, I'm going to sell you this book for $25. You're going to buy it for $25. And it's clear to you, like you can read it and you can put it into action, or you might not read it and you might not put. But I'm completely upfront about it, right? The fact what's going to happen once you go into this transaction. Same thing with if I pay $20 a month for a gym membership, they're not saying this is going to change your life. You're going to get six-pack, but you're going into an agreement well knowing that I'm willing to waste $20 a month to find out if I'm lazy or not, right? And I'm not gonna blame myself or anything like that, right? But imagine the gym did this. Imagine the gym was like, okay, it's gonna be $1,000 a month, and this is gonna be life changing, and you're gonna walk away with it, blah, 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 which is not the case, right? If you don't actually go to the gym, and then you sign up for it because they sold you the dream. That's what I have a problem with, and I don't know why so many people don't see that, right? Like I guess like from the insider, because I've been on the other end of that, where selling. So to me, it's very clear what's happening. But
I think,
yeah,
no, keep going.
I just don't think that most people see this.
I think that's because people don't want a six-pack. They want the motivation. They want to feel that they will do it. They want to feel
Which
strong.
is fine. Yeah.
I can't do it. And this is the way marketing succeeds in these cases.
Yeah,
They
but I
sell
think
the
that
motivation.
I guess what I'm trying to say is they should sell that. They should sell that
Yeah.
like, hey, you're coming here for the motivation. You're not coming here for the secret sauce or some solution. Because especially like those online courses, it almost makes it seem like they're selling you the secret sauce. Oh, there's some,
almost
and Tony Robbins
almost
does
every
that too.
course. Yeah, almost every course
Yeah.
out there is like that.
Like they use this word, right? Like, I'm gonna give you the key to unlock your potential. Like, that sounds like a secret sauce. You're gonna give me the key that's gonna unlock you can be anything you want, son. You can be a billionaire, you can do this, you can get anything you want. You don't have to live that life. And you can, it's all in your mind, it's your mindset. I'm gonna give you the key to unlock it. All of a sudden, people hear that. Obviously, I think 90% of people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? Right? But then there's gonna be those 10% of the people who are vulnerable, who's in a bad place in life, who doesn't have self-esteem, who is going to fall for that. And they're going to, if you actually watch the Netflix movie, I'm Not Your Guru with Tony Robbins, there was a girl there who said she literally sold everything in her, like all of her possessions to pay to go there. I'm like, is that really a smart choice?
Probably not. But that brings me to ask you, what motivates you?
What motivates me?
What motivates you? Yeah. Because I think, the strongest motive, it's the inner, the core motive, which could be anything, totally different for every person.
I feel like naturally what motivates me is my ego.
I am glad you said that. Thank you. Kamsahamnida. Finally.
Why?
Because there's a cynical me who thinks that people are doing everything to feed their egos, which is pretty cynical. But deep down inside, yeah. And I was thinking,
like, if I have to think about it, like, yeah, I think that's what it is. I would like it not to be.
I'm so happy now. I had thought if we talk about ego, we're gonna have a fight or something. Say drop the egos. I don't want any ego.
Well, the reason why I talk about ego so much, and I talk about dropping ego and disappearing your ego, one of the reasons why I talk about it is because it's the thing that I'm struggle with the most. Almost like a lot of the problems that I have rises because of my ego. So I'm not denying the fact that I have ego. I have huge ego. And
you have told so. I know you've told so, but it's not just you. It's every one of us. I don't know where it comes from. I guess it comes from, our instincts from when we had to survive.
It's probably I was going to say.
So it's civilized people are learning to cooperate, are learning to coexist, to help one another. But that ego deep inside has to be fed, because it has to feel its strength. So we say, you can do it. You're strong enough. You have it. You're good at this, and then drop your ego. So it's a balance that it's very difficult to be kept.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's a constant. It's like a constant balance.
It's a battle actually, because it's the ego on the one hand, and then it's the self-esteem on the other. You don't want to lose your self-esteem, or you don't want to do everything for others. You want to protect yourself. So, but you don't want to be this ego path who, I'm the best of all, and don't snobbies, don't talk to me, or I know better, blah blah.
I really think you're right. I think
anybody else. Yeah.
I think it is a survival mechanism, and it's built right into us, and it's probably what made us humans survive for this time, for however period humans been around,
And it's this thing of, be the winner against death. I have to leave something behind me. I have to leave something back.
Have you ever read this book, Selfish Genes, by Richard Dawkins?
No, but I'm noting. I'm writing it down.
Well, it's like you don't have to read it. It's like I read it in college because it's a required reading for biology class. But it's all about like evolution, right? So how our genes, our DNA is actually designed to survive. Like that's our DNA's its only goal is to survive, right? And one of the ways it's like obviously one way to survive is for, if I die, the genes die. So I have to stay alive. And then the second way is through our offsprings, right? So when we have children, our genes are carried to our children. And subconsciously, every decision that we make is for me to survive and for me to have an offspring that can survive.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
So subconsciously, all the ego and all those decisions that we make is coming in order to protect that. You know what I mean? So that's why I believe in so that book was mind blowing for me, because it's a selfish gene, and it shows you how, like, even when we're being selfless, we're doing for a selfish reason.
Yeah.
And everything subconsciously we're doing for selfish reasons.
When I say so to others, when I discuss it with my girlfriend or my husband, or they say, no, you're exaggerating. But there's this very kind me who loves people and blah blah, and there's the cynical me, not so good, not so nice. This is ulterior motives everywhere. So okay.
I mean, even as simple as like, when I talk about the story of when I gave, one time there was the first time I felt it was like I never like my mom forced me to volunteer in church and all of that, and I never got pleasure out of that, because I wasn't voluntarily volunteering. I was only doing it because my mom forced me or something like that, right? But one time when I was 19, like, me and my friend after dinner we were going to a club, and we had like some leftover food from dinner, and I didn't want to I can't bring it to a club, right? But then there was like a homeless lady sleeping on the bench. She was sleeping, so I just put the food next to her head. But then she woke up and she was like, "Oh, like, what do you want?" or something like that. And she was like, "I was like, oh no, we just left some food for you." And then she actually opened it. She's just picked it up and started eating it right away in front of us. So that kind of like surprise, because in my mind I was thinking like she's gonna yell at us, and she's gonna be like, "What do you think? Like, what, you giving me your leftover food or blah, blah, blah?" Like, I thought she was gonna yell at us. But she was so appreciative. She started eating, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I haven't eaten all day." And like, I just like kind of teared up at that moment. It felt so good, right?
It feels.
But then even then, I felt good, right? So it's a selfish thing. Do you know what I mean?
But I know exactly what you mean. But maybe our brains are made this way. Maybe we have the hormones of the happiness and fulfillment when we give, in order to give more, because we are creatures that cannot live the one without the other. So in order to form communities, and that's about community,
exactly.
You have to give, you have to share.
I talk about that, right? I say and it's also the reason why we seek validation, right? Because our genes are like, from the caveman days, like when we do that, we know our chances of survival is higher, right? Because now the tribe will accept me. But if the tribe like hates me and they kick me out, then obviously my chance of survival is lower. So somehow that's still in our genes, where because all the ones that were like, I don't care about you, I'm gonna go off on my own, they all died off because they all got eaten by saber-toothed tigers, right? So we're all descendants of people who want to fit in a tribe.
Of course. And social media gives us this, a way of choosing our tribe, making it happen the way we want.
And I think that's why all these communities are so popular right now, because like religion has always been that thing where people feel that sense of community, tribe, for thousands of years, right?
Common values, the waiting of something bigger to come, working towards the goal. Yeah, right.
But in the modern days, I feel like religion has kind of is slowly disappearing, right?
And then it was politics. First religion, and then it was politics.
That's not such a good thing. Because I feel like that divides us. Yeah.
It was the different, perspectives, a different way of thinking, the different systems.
Sports teams, like
suggested, and when that dropped off, when that lost its strength.
Value.
Now what? Value,
If you look at like graph, because religion is like slowly on decline, but at the same time, these spirituality practices, right? Like it's actually slowly on the incline, like the whole Oprah and these communities and things like that, like yoga classes and things like that. Like it's at the same rate religion is dying. So I mean, we need it as humans. We need it. So
yeah, of course,
we're gonna get it from somewhere.
Communities are the future, are the Earth's future. Yeah, via social media or via another way, I don't know. We will always do this. Yeah. So, what about our community?
What about it? To be honest, like I never thought of. I'm not naturally like a community type of person. I'm not a community builder or things like that. So in the beginning, people always tell me that same thing. It's like, oh, such a great community. I'm like, what? Like that's not what I'm trying to build, right? I didn't set out Night Owl Nation to build community, like sense of belonging. That's not what I set out to build. What I set out to build is a place where people can come and practice. Do you know what I mean? So they can become better storytellers. They can become better critical thinkers. I was more focused on the learning part. But if I ask most of my community members what they love about Night Owl Nation, they all say community. So I mean that just goes to prove that like that's what humans crave, right? Like
no, that's proving what you always say. You say you have to listen to your client. You have to take his words under consideration to make your tagline or to make your logo, to make your brand voice. It's important what they say. What you want to sell or whatever you want to do may be different from what people need from you or from what people see in you. So there are two alternatives here. Either you follow a new way or you stick to your plan and go with the original plan, and wherever it goes, it goes.
It's happening right now, like the ego versus like my ego wants to say no, this is not a community.
So I wanted to ask you something. I'm leaving Night Owls outside the conversation because you said you had 3 hours, and I don't know. They're not enough, maybe. Well, I'm a community freak, totally.
Mhm.
I can
Okay, good.
glow and I can shine when I'm with other people. I can, yeah, I can, and I love seeing people in there when they're safe places and they can thrive. And so different parts of their, of themselves they didn't know they had, or they were afraid. And when this happens, like, wow, I love it. I
Mhm.
like, watching people, how
Mhm.
they see. Yeah, I love it since I was pretty young. So,
See, I think what's happening at Night Owl Nation is actually, it's not that I'm cultivating the community, but I think what's happening is I'm attracting certain type of people, and within those people, there are people
it's
who
the
love
values.
communities. Yeah.
It's the
And they're the ones
values.
that are creating community. It has nothing to do with me, actually. They're the
It
ones
has
that
to
are
do with
creating the
you.
community.
It has to do with you. It has to do with you. It couldn't be differently. It couldn't be it has to do with
I
you.
know what you mean. Yeah.
Because
Here,
because it's the tribe you were talking about.
I have a perfect analogy for this. So have you ever heard of Beanie Babies?
Yeah.
Like the little dolls with the,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
back in
yeah.
like early 2000, late 90, there was a huge Beanie Baby craze where, there's the Beanie Baby that's worth like $500,000. Did you know that? Like they're collectibles.
No.
Yeah. So what happened was back in like 2000 and late 90s, there was this craze where people were buying Beanie Babies like crazy and trading them almost like baseball cards, because some of them are like really rare. So like if you go on eBay and search Beanie Babies,
Yeah,
you're gonna see.
it happens from time to time with different things. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, I know.
But what happened was, it's not that, and it formed this crazy community around the world of these Beanie Baby lovers, right? And it was like a really, really tight community. And it's actually, Beanie Baby was like was the most popular item on eBay when eBay first started. Like eBay would not have the success that it had that quickly if it wasn't for
Yeah,
Beanie
I didn't know
Babies.
that. Great.
Yeah. So what happened was, Thai Corporation, which is the company that makes Beanie Babies, they didn't set out to build these communities. Well, actually, when these communities started popping up, the founder of Thai Corporation, his name is Thai, actually wanted to sue them.
Okay.
But because they were like, oh, they're making money off of my products, right? Something like that. But these communities just started forming on their own. And it happened because what Thai did was, they'll put out like 1,000 Beanie Babies, and then they'll see how it works, and they'll try a different color because they feel like that's not working. So these Beanie Babies were rare because they've only made certain number of it, and then they changed it or something like, and that's why this whole craze happened. But communities were built around it. It's not like Thai Corporation tried to build that. Thai Corporation just created this one product that just happened to attract all of these people who love that product. But
And
it's the
then
people who built the community.
Yeah, it's always about the people. But they went with the flow. They didn't sue.
Yeah, well, they didn't sue because there was one person in that company who saw this craze happening, and she was all for it, and she really wanted to like encourage it. And but that's kind of like, I think what's happening here, right? I didn't set out to create the community, but now that I've attracted these people and the community is starting to build, I'm going to support it. But that
Thank
wasn't my
God.
goal.
Yeah. I wanted to ask if we had a huge conflict in the community. Has it happened? Has it ever happened?
Well, if it happened, I wouldn't know, because like, you have to understand, right? You probably know more about what's going on in the community than me. because it's not like I'm talking to everyone and like everybody's telling me like what's going on in the community. Actually, when I talk to our group leaders, like they are talking to each other way more than me.
Yeah, okay, but
You
they
know what I
are
mean?
talking to you. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter. It might be, there might be a conflict or something that you don't know about, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But there could have been a conflict between the leaders, for example. And in that case, you wouldn't be the one of the two factors
Yeah.
of the conflict. You would be the teacher who has two kids, two students, and loves them both. The parent who loves their, has two kids, and he has to do he has to play a certain role. That's why
Yeah.
I've asked. It might have
Yeah, I don't think
happened.
it's been I don't I mean there obviously there are some, like any communities, there might be a little bit of
Yeah,
tension
okay.
between some people, but I don't think it's ever been like a conflict. It's just like
Okay.
and what I guess the way I had try to handle it is because I've been there before, whether it's my team or I've seen it in my clients' communities and things like that.
That's why I've asked you. I have promised tons of content.
The only thing I
It's a
can do
promise.
is to not take sides, right? And well, the one thing I always try to do is this: like, if I'm talking to somebody who, let's say, disagree with somebody else in the community or something like that, I have to try to show that person things from the other person's point of view.
Yeah,
If
great.
I'm talking to this person, I have to show that person. So I guess what I'm trying to do is especially in those kind of settings, I'm constantly trying to make things as
Be the
positive as
bridge.
possible. Yeah,
Be the bridge.
yeah.
Something.
But it's
Yeah.
hard because
What if
I'm not naturally like that.
what if you agree with one of them or completely disagree with the other? Then it's even harder.
Yeah, yeah. But I still I can't get involved. Like I just have to try to, and I feel like from my experience, what happens is when you just create a very positive. I think this is actually the area where I lack the most, where I need to work on the most, is to really, really bring that positive energy in the community. Because from what I've seen is this: when there's like a cancer cell, so we've actually had a member a long time ago who was like being very negative, right? I don't know why. I don't know why, but she kept like DMing me and like saying really, really nasty stuff. Like, you know, I must
Oh,
have
that's
triggered
bad.
her with one of my content or something like that. But I also I can kind of see that like maybe she has her own stuff going on in her life or something like that, right? But it's
Yeah,
the person
okay.
that I've never actually talked to. Right, it's just this is all just coming from my content. Like I think she got triggered, but
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
um what happened was we just had to like kick her out of the community. And I mean, she's never actually said anything like this was all happening in DM, because I think what happened like if I actually share what she said in the DMs, like it would make her look really bad, right? So I would never do that. So
Okay.
what we did was we just kind of stopped talking to her, and then um I've actually warned her a few times, like if you keep doing this, I'm gonna have to remove you from the community, and she'll be okay for a little bit, and then it'll start again, and then eventually I ended up removing
Yeah,
her. But
maybe there
yeah,
was something. There,
yeah.
yeah.
So all I'm trying to do is
Okay.
I'm trying to keep things in a positive environment. And what I noticed, I don't know if you heard this story before. So there was like I'm really bad with memory, but there was this researcher who was researching this tribes of baboons or chimps in Africa. And there was a chimp, and these chimp tribes, when you look at them, they're like very like kind of like human tribes. There's an alpha on the top, and then there's like it's like a patriarchy, right? So the strongest males are like the top of the dominance hierarchy, and then it goes down and down and down. But what happened was, in this tribe that he's been following for like 20 years, there was like a lot of like tyranny, right? Meaning like these guys will bully the weaker ones, the female chimps and all of that. But one day, all the alpha dominant ones like went searching for food and came across this garbage dump and ate all the garbages, but it happened to be toxic, so they all died. Wow. So now the only ones that were left in the tribe were females, and kind of like the non-violent ones, the peaceful ones. They were the only, and that tribe has completely over the next 10 years. The tribe has completely turned around, where there was no tyranny. Everybody was very respectful and things like that, right? And he's just, this guy is just watching it from the distance. He's not interacting with them. He's just observing, right? So he's been following this tribe for like 30 years. And through these 10 years, what happened was a new dominant alpha chimp will come into the tribe and then try to do it, like try to be aggressive again. But it wouldn't work. Like nobody would, like people were just ignoring it, and they wouldn't give him the chance to do that. Yeah. So I remember like this quote from Gandhi where he says like, humanity is like the ocean. Like one drop of whale poop is not going to pollute it, right? So I really think that as long as a community we keep this positive energy and we keep things positive and respectful and things like that, even if like one or two toxic people come in and try to spread the cancer cell, it's not going to happen. And it really has to start with me, in the sense that I can't go in there, start gossiping. I can't talk anything negative about one person or to another person, because once I start doing that, then they're going to pick up on that behavior and they're going to start doing that. And once they start doing that, that's how it becomes toxic, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, that's harder. That's actually a lot harder for me to do than like I think most people. I'm just, because like I've never been that person.
Are you like that? Yeah. Are you like that in your life as well?
I'm trying to be. Like I said, I have a big ego, right? So I try to be.
When something really pisses you off, what do you do? It's the fan club questions,
I guess like I'll vent, but to people that are close to me, who understands that I'm doing that. But I try not to show it in public, right?
Oh, Gigi.
Yeah, so Gigi, my close friends and things like that. But they know that. Yeah. They know I'm venting, so they'll just ignore me. You know what I mean? And like I now I've gotten a lot better because I'm aware of it. I'll vent for like 10 seconds and I'm like, okay. I can feel myself going there. So I'm like, okay, shut the fuck up, son. Like, calm down. So it's constant battle. I'm working on it.
If I get mad, I shout a lot, I vent out, okay. But if I get more, even more, when things are really serious, I won't talk at all.
You go inwards, yeah.
Yeah. Same. Like whatever I say won't do. So not talking at all, which is scary, because I'm really talkative and loud and blah blah. So if I'm pissed off, the environment around me becomes, oh, don't talk to her.
Yeah, sometimes like when you're really close to somebody, like I was talking to this with someone with Yellen about it, and she said that like her mom would like yell at her and be like, hey, you know what you did to me, like that. But then when she got into an accident, she was hurt. Her mom was like really nice to her, like feeding her. And so sometimes like when somebody's like really close to you, that they can talk to you however they want, are all of a sudden being nice to you, that means things are actually more serious.
Yeah. Something goes wrong. Yeah. Something goes wrong. Yeah, right.
I mean, when you were saying that, that kind of reminded me of that. Yeah. See, I connected the dots.
And then, yeah, always. And then you're asking yourself, what's wrong with me? No, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? Why
The
are they
silent
treating me
treatment.
like
Yeah.
that? Yeah. I was about to say something and I forgot. Oh, never mind. It was
It'll
about
come
that,
back.
yeah, eventually.
You were talking about
Tomorrow.
how, like, when you really mad, you
Yeah.
actually.
I prefer not to, talk at all. I remember. I used to do that in classroom as well. And then my students knew if I'm mean and I don't talk to them, I'm like, because usually I was like a clown or something. I was like, we're laughing or I was swearing or I was moving a lot and blah, blah, Greeks. And if I'm silent, they could
I mean,
tell. If
something's
I
up.
was silent, they
It's like,
could tell.
oh.
They could tell. Yeah, most of them, we were very, very well connected. I feel proud about it for my, years in teaching.
That's good. So you have a
So
mechanism to, like,
they
when
could
things
tell.
go overboard, yeah, you know how to control them.
Yeah. And then sometimes they try to, conform me, to show me, that they understand or they got it, and then I got emotional. Yeah.
It's like a balance, like back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Teaching
happens
is
to me
like,
a lot. Like, because I'm so defensive and I'm very aggressive. When I in the beginning, I would work with clients. I would work with clients and I would always try to, like, defend myself or something like that. And the client gets defensive too. But, like, I think through running my agency, what I realized is, like, sometimes, the best thing to do is just to, like, you're right, I was wrong. And sometimes when they do that, they actually starts to go, like, I totally understand, son. And, like, then we can actually reach some sort of agreement,
Yeah. But it needs work.
Yeah.
We can do these things if we work. Yeah, work with ourselves, with our people, thinking about things, and blah blah, etc.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why I said I'm never. Yeah. What? When I look at a lot of these, like, people out there that are trying to be motivational or, like, trying to teach, like, teach about life lessons and things like that. Like, I really, really very strongly trying not to be like that, because I don't want people. I want to make sure people understand that I'm very flawed, and I want them to understand I'm only talking about things that are coming from my life experience, nothing that I read in a book or studied in a university or something like that.
Yeah, but these things are very relatable ones.
Mm-hmm.
You have said so too.
Yeah.
When you talk about one specific person and one specific, condition, then you'll see that it's even more relatable.
Yeah.
Why? Because, people are people.
Yeah. And I guess that comes from, like, your original question of, like, because I don't want to be like that person who talks about something that I haven't personally experienced. Like, I don't want to.
It's difficult to do, yeah, it's difficult to do so. Even when you write, I mean, when you write literature or something, there has to be some truth, some something you have seen
Facts.
or heard or felt or whatever, because otherwise it won't work. It won't work. It's a basic rule in creative writing.
Yeah.
Probably it won't work if you don't have,
That's why I don't really talk about, a lot of, like, people talk about business success and, like, profiting, making money and stuff like that. But I never talk about that stuff because I'm actually really bad at making money. I'm really bad at like.
We said we should have Gigi talk about that.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. So somebody
I
like
would
Gigi.
I would love to hear her, her point of view, her perspective of things. Because
I mean, but
we know Gigi through you,
Yeah.
And we talk a little bit.
She doesn't like
here and there.
she doesn't like spotlight. She doesn't like I mean, I don't really, it's not that I love spotlight, but she doesn't like being in the public eye, which I think I kind of appreciate, because like it would be a nightmare if if we were both like that. I feel like one of us need to be a little more
in front of the camera. Don't cut her wings though. Huh? She might want to do it at some point. So,
yeah, like, do I look like I'm cutting her wings?
No, of course not.
I talk about her all the time, right? Like that. And I keep telling her, like, Gigi, like, join a group, like, go share your story. And every week I'm encouraging her, but she's just not there yet, I guess.
The community, I can't force her. Yeah. Maybe, no, you don't. We wouldn't like to force you to. But okay.
Yeah. So I don't really talk about leadership. Like, when I do talk about leadership, it's just from the place of like those little things that I talked about, where like when somebody's quitting or something like that, right? Because I don't believe that I'm a great leader, right? I've never led a company with 10,000 employees, like so.
Do you think that great leaders are those who lead 10,000 people and more?
I think that
I believe that it doesn't have.
If you are a really great leader, numbers that can lead 10 people, you should be able to lead 10,000 people too. Yeah, if you can lead 10 people well, but if you can't lead 10,000 people, that means you're not really a great leader.
I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm 100% sure. Purpose. Because it spreads.
Finally, we disagree.
Because what happens, this is what I've seen, and 99% of these Fortune 500 companies, CEOs are not great leaders. I'll start with that first, right? But you're talking
about businesses, but I had
look at Nelson Mandela, like he can lead a whole country, right? So
yeah,
it's because what happens is, when at the top, if you're a great leader. See, businesses are not like you can't measure great leadership from a business monetary success, because a lot of that has to do with capital and what happens in Wall Street and, marketing and things like that too, right? Like short-term profits.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm. But if you look at real great leaders, great leaders empowers other leaders, on like subordinate leaders, right? And then what happens is, through example, they like whatever happens at the top, it penetrates like down all the way to the. And if you're a great leader, your entire job is to make sure that every person in that organization leads.
Okay.
So
we were talking about it with the C, and I was telling her that when you are a good leader, things can go well, or can work without you, even when you're not present.
Exactly.
You led well. Yeah.
But here's the problem in corporate environment is that the greatest leaders are the ones that are leading people, like is the one that are leading people to replace you, right? Like you have to work yourself out of your job. But that's counterproductive, right? Why would anybody want to, somebody else to replace their
teachers. job? Same goes for teachers.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it's and it's because I think that's what it is, and it's maybe a lot of it is simple, right? Like a great leader is supposed to empower others, make sure there's great communication so everybody understands what the high level goal is, so that even if you don't give them step-by-step instructions, they can figure out a way to, to achieve, they're on the same page to achieve the higher goal. And then there's probably like a lot of little things here and there, that nuances like we talked about, that needs to be done. But at the end of the day, very few people can do that. And that probably because of our ego.
Or because they consider leadership as, the giving instructions thing, or
like knowing the answer.
I will teach you. I will teach you the way, and show you the way to do it in easily, or without trying hard, or I will pull you through. But leadership is not like that. You have to motivate people. You have to help them find their core values and motivation.
And I think there are some people that is their strength, like Nelson Mandela, for example.
And be vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
You have to know when you have to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Someone else has.
You don't always need the answer.
Or I'm tired. I got tired. I need help. If you otherwise you're not a leader. You're just imposing your authority.
Yeah.
If I'm saying right.
See, the nuance is like, here's the nuance, right? Because a lot of people hear that from Brene Brown. Like, you have to be vulnerable. You have, if you don't know, just say you don't know, right? So some leaders go out there and go like, somebody's like, oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, so some leaders will go out there and employees will come to them and be like, oh, son, should we spend $10,000 on ads, or should we spend $50,000 on ads? Oh, I don't know. Like, how much should we spend on? I don't know, right? Like, but the thing is,
right.
But the thing is, those people are turning to you to give them answer, right? And a great leader. And in that case, like, maybe the right thing to do is to say something like, okay, if we spend $50,000, they're gonna give us a 30% discount, right? But it's the leader's job to understand that, okay, I don't know the answer, so why don't we start with the 10,000 to see how it works out?
But I have to take to decide, to make the decision and take the responsibility, and that's because I'm the leader.
So it's not as simple as saying just I don't know, right? That's why you can't. That's why I don't like it when leadership coaches like try to simplify it, like, and that's why. And the reason why I'm not a big fan of, like, I keep saying this is, like, Brene Brown has never. She's an academic. She's a professor. She's a researcher. She's a PhD. She's smart. I'm not saying she's not smart, but it's very different to know everything about parenting and actually raising 3 kids, right? And once you've actually raised 3 kids, you start to understand all those little nuances, the framework of it, not just the step-by-step instructions. Do you know what I mean?
Tell me about it. About it. I know what you mean.
And that's why, like, I think everything Brene Brown is teaching makes it look easy. But when you're actually leading an organization with 10,000 people, there's actually a lot more to it. And
you know what?
If you
keep going.
And if you wanted to really teach it right, like, you can't just, like, have few ideas about it and then, oh, here's here's like how you should lead. Like, that's a cop out.
I'm just thinking that when you're a coach or a public speaker about your whatever you're doing, your audience is too big, so you have to generalize to be more generic, or to be not so specific, or
I talk about that
because you're trying to bring more people to you, or to make more people feel what you want them to feel. I'm always with the storytelling side. I'm on your side, but we don't, you know, we're not.
I'm not saying that she should be nuanced in her content. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
What I'm trying to say is this, right? I've read all the books. I've read all the Brené Brown books. I've read all the Simon Sinek books. I understand all of those concepts too. So I can talk about it, but I don't, right? And the reason why I don't is because, and if I, okay, here's a good example. I do talk about like design, marketing, copywriting, those kind of things, right? Or you know, working with freelancers, those type of things. But I simplify and I generalize, right? I don't talk about all the nuanced details, right? But the reason why I still talk about it is because I do not understand those nuances. So I do understand that when I say this, what am I risking, right? But the thing is, if you haven't actually done it yourself, imagine me talking about, you know, like storytelling, like content creation, and you know, so like or marketing or like personal branding or something like that. I have no experience in that. All I know is from the other books that I've read. I've never actually, you know what I mean? I've actually never built a personal brand before. I've actually never done marketing before. I've actually never done, you know, never even done Instagram before. I've never worked with, you know, I've never grown an agency before, but I read all the books. And then me trying to teach it is not gonna.
Yeah, it's the same way. I'm thinking the same way because in fact, I'm a newbie in content writing and in copywriting. I write since I was a kid. It's okay, but what have I done? I think I have told you. I started posting on Instagram. Just because I had my tutoring job, I mean, my students, I had the MA, the master in creative writing, which, by the way, hasn't finished yet. I'm about to write my thesis proposal, which is, you know, hard. And I was thinking, I had one or two clients, you know, write copy for that leaflet or give me copy for that profile on Facebook and blah blah. And I saw I need marketing, so I had my marketing courses for about 6 months or so, and then I was ready. But ready for what? I hadn't worked in the industry for, you know, for a long time. So I was thinking I will start posting content, really good content. In order to have a feed, you know, somehow with a few posts and blah, blah. And then maybe I will have paid ads and then starting to build this thing up in order for it to start working in 1 year or two. But it went like
fast.
Fast. Yeah. I had my first clients, what should I say? Before I don't know. I didn't have followers. I had less than 100 followers.
But that's the best way to learn is working with clients, actually doing it. Do you know what I mean? Of course.
But yeah, but when it started, and then clients came and asked for help, and I was doing stuff because I was trained. Okay. And okay.
I think everybody should do that. Like, people don't realize that they already have experience, and they can talk about what they have experience in.
Yeah, that's me.
But what I feel like a lot of people do is, so for example, when I first came on Instagram, I talked about what the experience that I had with working with personal brands, marketing, design, copywriting, things I've done, right? But I've never talked about social media or, you know, growing Instagram or anything like that until I actually got to a certain point, right? So although in the beginning I didn't talk about it, right? So what I see people do is kind of like what Brene Brown's doing, right? Talking about things that they actually haven't practiced yet. Meaning, for example, like I actually heard this from this girl, Vanessa Lau, and she just like put it perfectly for me. So she quit her job and she started a YouTube channel, and then she started making YouTube videos. But then she couldn't make money. She didn't have money coming, so she got a job at a coffee shop. And while she was doing that, she was making YouTube videos. And then she got a coaching client, and then little by little, and then she started getting there. But what happened was when she first quit her job and started putting out content, she didn't talk about, oh, this is how you start a coaching business. This is how you make money online.
Yeah, of
And
course.
this is how. What she did was she made a video about the right way to quit your 9-to-5 job, because she did that, right? And then once she made some videos, she talked about how to start YouTube channel, because she did that, right? So if this is your progress and you're here, then talk about that. And then once you're here, then talk about that. Once you're here, talk about that. Once you're here, like
It's what
just
I did.
talk. But what I see people do is from day one, they quit their job, they start a YouTube channel, and they're like, "This is how you start a business." I'm like, "What the fuck have you done?
Yeah.
You have not started a business yet. How are you going to teach other people how to start a business? You have not grown your YouTube channel yet. How are you going to teach people how to grow a YouTube channel?" Like,
exactly.
Crazy.
There were people asking me in the first, 2 months. I'm not sure. Can you teach me storytelling for social media? Because I was doing it, but I couldn't. I could, but I didn't want to. I mean,
Why not?
have to work. I was thinking that I have to, work in the market. What shall I teach?
You can teach what you have done up to that. That's why I think like a lot of people
I can't do it
understand.
now. I do it now, but I do it now. But now I have, I have many clients. I teach storytelling for social media, and I have the brand strategy for social media, and I have written copy for a bunch of websites. So I have written for email marketing. So I've tried things. I've lost clients. That happened too. I have a dream client who never answered me. He reads me first and then never answered back. So, and I have friends who are, if not the best, of the best marketers in Greece. I love them. They know who they are. They will be in the premiere. So, but they found me through the algorithm and through the content. You know what I mean? And we saw that we can communicate and work together and love each other, but it was really early for me. So that's why I felt this, is this happening to me? What have I been doing so many years? Yeah. What have I been doing? And then it's the other thing that I should have asked maybe in the beginning of our, discussion. I want to do it all. I love this website. I love this client. I love this email marketing, and I love Night of Nation. And I'm all in. I want to do it all. And then some comes to my mind and says, "Go for the money first. Chase the money first, and then you can do other stuff." But life sometimes doesn't follow the so I'm trying to be I'm trying to control my discipline and be there and do stuff and don't get overwhelmed, but it's not always easy. So if someone comes and tell me, yes, you should do that, let's do that, shall we do that? And I like it a lot, I'm all in. We'll do that. Yes, of course we'll do it. So you don't have to answer. Okay, is your family name Yi?
Yeah, that's my dad's name. Dad's side. That's, you know what? It's same as, how Koreans, There's a Korean last name Lee, Lee,
Yeah, which is Yi, actually.
which is the same as so that's actually the same as my name. But my
Okay.
grandfather wanted to be unique. So instead of calling it Lee when he moved here, he called it Yi. So
But in Korea, they call it E, not
Yeah. Oh,
Li.
that's why.
The
Like
Li's are
when
in
my grandfather
China.
first came
Mm,
here,
mm.
they were like, "Oh, it's not Lee, it's Yi." So
Yeah, I was sure you're from that. Yeah, I was sure that that was your clan. I was sure. Yeah. Do you ever have free time?
What's that?
Do you ever have free time?
Yeah, I mean,
Spare
my life
time?
is actually pretty normal. I like people think that I'm like all I do is work. I guess because like every time I'm on video, I'm here, but I it's not like I'm in this chair 24/7, you know. But that's what it looks
Having
like, maybe.
having having free time is good.
But I have a
Yeah.
pretty normal schedule. Like I sleep 8 hours a
Mm.
day. I I'm not working all the time. You know, I watch TV. I do all the same things that everyone else does.
What do you like watching? Movie, series, what?
Actually, you know, I spend I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch I'm addicted to YouTube. So I watch
Okay.
YouTube more than TV.
Yeah. My sons as well.
Oh, really?
Mm.
What kind of stuff?
Gamers,
Oh, okay.
tutorials,
Yeah.
tutorials, fun stuff, cut videos, and now they're
Yes.
like, yeah, they saw my microphone and my ring light, and they were like, what do you need this? They were like, oh, our mothers, you know,
You're a streamer.
yeah, yeah. They were like very proud of me. And then there were their cousins there as well. And they were like, what are you doing this? Yeah. So it's funny. It's nice. Are your tattoos telling stories? You don't have to
No,
answer.
no. I mean, like I drew this one. This is 7 koi fish. So it's just
You
for
mean
good
like
luck.
you did it yourself?
I drew it, but I don't. You know, you can
Okay,
draw it and
okay.
you give to them and they'll do it. I got my
Yeah,
tattoos when
no,
I was 19, so I got them when I was very young, and
no
you know,
storytelling then.
you don't really think that much. Like I know when you watch like Miami Ink, right? Like people are always like telling their story and things like that, but I
No,
wasn't
I have friends who are
that.
tattoo lovers, and they say they're three types of tattoo lovers. The tattoo lovers who say that tattoos are tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Stop doing these symbolic things, whatever. And there are the people like me, mainstream people. I have to have the initials of my boys on my hand, blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
a quote or something symbolic, something that
Uh-huh.
means something. And then there are the Harley lovers. you know, Another
The bikers.
the bikers, yeah, the bikers, the bikers. Biggest
Biggest what?
joy.
Biggest joy.
What gives you joy? What makes you,
I actually right now, I think my like when I'm on a high, I'll just list them all, right? Like so every time I get off like a call, like Sunday service, a coaching call, or even podcast interviews and things like that, when I'm just sharing, like having conversations and things like that, is I'm always like energized. I'm always high. Like a lot of times when I go on like these calls, coaching calls or something like that, or even podcasts, I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to do it. But then as soon as I start going into conversation at the end, I'm like kind of like, so it's like the reason why I keep doing it is because it's like a constant reminder for me on why I do this, right? Actually, just in general, I think I actually believe this about all humans is I think we are the most energized and most fulfilled when we feel like we contributed something to the world.
That's
So
true.
when I go on a coaching call and somebody was, let's say, really stuck, like yesterday I was talking to somebody like that, and she was really stuck, and then I had a call with her, and at the end she was just so happy and so relieved. It was almost like she saw this like perspective, and she's like, oh my god. And I can see the difference that I made. Those are the moments
That's dope.
but
It's
it
actually
also
dope.
happens with clients. Like with clients, when I made this website and I solved their problem for them, and I show it to them, and they're like, oh my gosh,
Hey,
this is so perfect. Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same
It's
feeling,
exactly the
right?
same.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like my time and my knowledge and all of that hasn't been wasted. It's actually,
Which is actually,
yeah,
which is
something like,
actually
yeah. What's that?
your, which is actually what your ego is being fed.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it has to do with what we talked about before.
Yeah.
Like if let's say you're in, like, say, let's go back 100,000 years ago, and we're hunters and gatherers, right? Let's say I'm useless, right? I don't know how to hunt. I don't know how to gather. I don't know how to chase animals. I don't know how to do anything, right? And I'm providing no value to the tribe. Then I'm most likely gonna get kicked out of that tribe. Like, sun's just slowing us down, right? But let's say I'm a good hunter, and I hunt and I bring food. Then what does that mean? That means the tribe needs me. That means the tribe values me, and that directly equates to survival. And I think there's some of that gene that's being handed down to us, and I think that's the reason why. I found it fascinating when in my first agency job, I worked on this pharmaceutical project where we worked on this project for like 6 months, and they spent $1 million of budget in this project, pharmaceutical company. And 6 months later, the drug didn't get FDA approval. So what happened was they just threw everything that we worked on, the logo, the branding, the ads, the website, they threw it all away. And I felt so down because I felt like my last 6 months of work was just wasted. So for me, it's not just about the work. It doesn't matter how good the work I did was or whatever it is. If somebody's just going to throw it away right afterwards, that doesn't satisfy me. That is not fulfilling. And I saw this one YouTube video where they talk about a study they did where they have people build this thing with Lego, right? And so they had a control group and another group, and they were doing a study. And with the control group A, what they do was like, every time you build it, we're gonna pay you $20. Once you build it, we'll give you $20. And you do it again, we'll give you $20 again. This other group, they only gave $10, right? And what happened was with group A, they give them $20 once they build it, but right as in front of them, they'll just break it. So it's gone, and then now they have to do it again, and they give them $20.
That's traumatic.
Yeah, with group B, even though it was only $10, they don't break it. They actually put it on the thing and they display it, right? And they can go as many times as you want. But the group A actually gave up way earlier than group B, even though they were getting paid more. So I still believe that. Like, I think what really makes us happy and fulfilled is being of value, not our time being wasted, our skills being wasted.
True. I just wanted to say that storytellers were huge in ancient tribes. They were important, even if they couldn't hunt or say.
Because that's how they taught everything.
Yeah.
That's how you teach knowledge to the next generation.
Yeah, even hunting or fishing or whatever. It's the stories. Stories? Yeah. Storytelling rocks. Have you ever written the screenplay of that movie you wanted to make?
No. I mean, I did when I was
No.
in film school, like little short films in there. It
I
was
have
always
written
like
a
a
lot of them
sci-fi.
as well. Yeah. I have written a lot of them as well. A lot. I mean, not a lot.
What kind? What genre?
It wasn't specific
Like
genre. It was
drama?
short films. Yeah. It was short films with specific, subjects every time. It wasn't the genre, the genre, the point. But the best one, the best for me, had to do with three boys who were treated like outcasts for different reasons during the crisis in Greece, and they've managed to help each other, and
What?
not only by being friends, but you know,
Wait,
the
so
one
what?
of
Where
them.
does that come from?
What do you
Like,
mean?
like why three boys? And like, what gave you the
Mm,
idea to
it was
write
it
it?
was the subject. It was I can't remember exactly how it was put. Uh, ah, we had to use as our inspiration the last line of Casablanca, which were saying that's the start of a great friendship that will be something like that. That will be the start of a great friendship.
Mhm.
And the first thing came to mind that came to mind was something with kids or animals or a kid and an animal or something like that. But I was, I when I thought about it, it looked like mainstream. So I wanted something else, but I couldn't get my mind off the kids. So this thing became, the teenagers, and that's how I did it. The story has to do with the father of one of them is what's the word? Those who um, those who give loans with a high
Loan Shark.
yeah, or buy gold for very.
It sounds like a Korean movie.
It was huge. This phenomenon was huge during the crisis in Greece.
Oh, really?
Mm. And so I made the boy, stealing from his father to give it back to their friends when their mothers are going to sell their jewelry or something. He steals from his father and give them back. The father underestimates the boy, but at the same time, when he needs help with a loan store or whatever, he asks himself. So the boy finds the way and steals the jewelry of their friend's mothers and give them back. That's how. Yeah,
It's like a
somehow.
life, kind of a life struggle kind of story.
Yeah, but it's like no, yeah, okay. Let's keep it that way.
They say
It's
that,
like
like I don't know if you like I watched Neil Gaiman's masterclass, which is like one of the best masterclass, by the way. And he talks about storytelling and the best, and I've actually heard this from a lot of like even filmmakers and writers, that the best stories actually come from real life, true stories. So even best fictions actually, and I think Judd Apatow also talked about this, like when all the movies that he does, like all those scenes, specific things that happen in those scenes, those are usually a writer will suggest like something really that happened to them or they saw or
and
something like
then
that.
yeah, and then that's because it's relatable.
Yeah,
It's
those are
not
usually the best stories. Yeah.
whatever we were writing. I can't write. I don't like fantasy, first of all. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that kind of person. So I'm always with the real thing. But even as a reader or as a viewer, I'm like that. So when I write, I have to take a moment from somewhere, and then I can build a whole different story from that. But I have to have this moment, the real one, to give me to
And
inspire
it can
me.
also be like scenes, right? Because you can write you can write a science fiction, but things that happen within, like how the characters react to something, those can all come from real life experiences.
They have
That's
to.
what
They have
that's what
to.
makes even the sci-fi movies, right? It's like I see so many bad movies nowadays, like because of Netflix, Amazon Prime, like Hulu, because like everyone's funding movies now, right? So you see all these garbage movies out there where like the premise is cool, but there's no story, there's no character development, there's no story arc, there's no you know conflict or resolution, and it's just like
Yeah. Or the characters are superficial.
yeah,
Okay, it gets
it's
on my
just terrible.
nerves when
Yeah.
this happens. Yeah. It's like I want to fork to. But I'm a serious person. I'm more of a serious person than a movie person. I prefer to see it
Series.
more. Yeah.
So what are the questions you have for me?
I have asked a lot. Biggest fear?
Biggest fear? I have a fear of height.
Me too. So
Oh, really?
mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's those like, because there's like people have fear of a lot of things, like fear of judgment, fear of public speaking, fear of all of these things. But like people that have fear of height, water, like fear of water, claustrophobia, those things, like I wonder if those things are like result of trauma, or if it's like actually real. Some people actually have
It could be either, or it could be both. Why not?
Like born with it. Like some people are born with those fears. I feel like I was born with the fear of height.
My
Because I
son is
never had
afraid
a
of height.
traumatic moment with height.
My son is afraid of heights. My older son, and he's 9.5, and he has it years from years ago. And now the younger, who's 7.5, starts having different fears for different things with no traumas or triggers. Not what I know of, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I remember that in that age, I had different fears, but I suppose you have to work on them, or somebody has to, see it coming or being expressed, so he or she can help you. Otherwise, you might stick with the fear. So maybe it's not the trauma, but it's the fact that you haven't. You
can still work through it, I think.
Yeah, the help to work it out.
Well, you have to expose yourself to it. You have to expose yourself to it little by little. Yeah.
No, but it's scary. I don't want to do that. And if it's a fear that comes from trauma, it's even harder.
Yeah, the height is like my biggest one. Like, cause I'm not really afraid of a lot of things. So yeah. So, but I can relate if somebody has a fear of something. Like,
so no hiking in the highest mountain of the Cyclades Islands when you come to Greece.
I don't even I don't even sit on the window seat in the airplane. Also, like I don't like I used to live in Manhattan. I used to live in Roosevelt Island, and there's a cable car that there's two ways to get there. One is through a cable car, and another one is through subway. And I would never take this cable car. And yeah, I hate elevators that has open, like that you can see outside.
I hate it
I
too.
never go on roller coasters. It's pretty bad.
Bad. What should I do when I want to do it all?
I think what I tell people is I think when you're obviously you're not young, but because I think some
What do you mean? Take that back.
since
Take
since
that back.
you're just a teenager, what I would say, what I would suggest is so there's this advice where people say, you have to draw boundaries and you have to say the more you say yes, the more you're saying no to other things, right? So you have to learn to say no, right?
Okay. What
I
happens
actually
if I
don't.
don't want to?
Yeah. Well,
I
what
don't
I'm saying
want to
is
say
this.
no.
See, this is the problem because a lot of people that I hear saying that advice, it's like I can tell when it's coming from experience versus it's like a 25-year-old kid saying it just because they heard it from Simon Sinek or they just because they
Yeah,
heard
yeah,
it from
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know, I know.
like Elon
Yeah, I
Musk or
know.
whatever it is, right?
I
Because
know.
that advice is not always true. If you're 19 years old and you're just starting out, you should literally say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And then once you get built to a point where you have too many opportunities coming in, then you say no, right? Right now, what I hear is I talk to like 25-year-old designers who come to me and who's asking me like, son, can you give me some clients? Can you help me get some clients? How do I get more clients like you? And I want to build my own freelance business or whatever it is, right? And then I'll send them a client and I'll say, yeah, but I want you to do it for cheap, or I want you to do it for this price, or even free, right? Because if you build relationship with this client is gonna give you more projects and you're gonna get referrals and blah blah blah. And they're like, no, son, I'm not. I'm not cheap, son. Like I'm gonna, because they learn from some guru who said that you have to turn down.
Yeah.
No, that's when you have experience and you have too many clients coming in. You have to pick and choose the right clients. When you have zero clients and nobody's coming to hire you, you literally have to say yes to everything.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. And I agree. The thing is, what if you want to do it all and there is no time to do it all? You have to, that's what.
Then you need to, yeah, then you have to say no.
Or you have to cope with it.
Yeah, if you have no time to say no.
I'm like, I have to just, take it as it is for some, some time left, I don't know, 6 months or 1 year. And then this thing will be over and the other.
So here's the thing, right? For something like that, it's hard for me to give a blanket advice because it depends on the situation. So because for some people, I would say this, right? Like for some people, I'll see them spending like 6 hours a day on it, trying to make content and doing social media, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, you need to cut that down to like 2 hours a day or something like that, right? So you can but some people, let's say they're only spending an hour a day, right? Then I would say no, don't cut the social media part, right? You got to cut something.
It's part of your job, yeah, yeah.
You really have. It's so nuanced. That's why it's like you have to be able to have gone through a lot of experience to know the answer. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So for you, when you say when you have too much stuff, you want to do it all. Like, give me an example of what's all. What are those things?
I've told you. I have my job, my clients, which means my job means my clients. Okay. I have the content for my social media. I have my thesis proposal, which is, to be written.
You have what?
My thesis proposal. I'm having a master in creative writing. Haven't I told you?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and
so you have homework.
Yeah, which is not actually homework. It's research.
Yeah.
And we're done with the homework. But okay, we're done. So I was able to enter the Night Owl Nation because, but this thing has a part of which is research. And then there's the other part, which is the creative part. It
I
has
see
to
what
do
you
with
mean.
digital storytelling. Okay. And then there is Night Owl Nation, and then there are these things that keep coming, like, I have to do this. I have to do I have to do this. I want to do this.
Here's the thing, right? That's not what I was thinking in my head when you say I want to do it all, right? Because it's a little bit different. Because like your case is more like, because those are things that you can do it all. You just can't do it all right now. Do you understand what I mean?
Because I know.
Because and also like those are just normal everyday things. Like to me, those are not like my mom. Like growing up, my mom taught piano lessons while going to school full time, raising us and volunteering.
I have these things too. I just haven't said them, but I have these things too,
But those are all things that you have to do, right? So it's not like it's when I hear people say do it all, what I'm hearing is like people are going like this. Oh, son, I want to I want to do I want to freelance, but I also want to do coaching, and I want to do public speaking, and I also want to do this, and I want to teach dance too. Like,
I understand, I get you, but
and that's not what you're talking about. Yeah,
I'm not talking about that, but everything, everything I'm doing somehow has to do with digital storytelling, and it's far away from, not far away, but sometimes it doesn't have to do with copywriting or content writing. It has to do with all the other things, with the digital stuff. But almost everything has to do with digital storytelling, social media, communities, writing, blah blah.
Yeah, it sounds like what the problem you're having is not what opportunities should I say no to and focus on one thing? That's not what it sounds like. It sounds like for you, it's really more about time management.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you really think about it, I had this problem in the beginning when I started my agency. Like I was always busy. I was working like 18 hours a day, always busy. And my uncle, at the time, my uncle's been running his business for like 30 years. And he's like, but when you're in the office, you're probably not spending all 18 hours working, right? Like, and he just like called me out on the spot. Like he nailed it, right? It's the more time you allocate to something, the longer it's going to take. So for example, if I tell myself like, oh, I have 8 hours to do something, it's going to take me 8 hours. If I tell myself, okay, I have 2 hours to do this, then I'll get it done in 2 hours.
That totally goes for me too. But when it comes to creating stuff or writing stuff, you can't just, I have 2 hours between taking the children to school and bringing them back. And I'm gonna write 2 sections of the website, the about section and the services.
You can do it.
Whatever.
Trust me, you can do it, and you can actually do it.
But maybe I can't. Sometimes I can. Sometimes it's not the time. Sometimes
it's the time.
It has to be.
No, it's the time. It's I bet you what you're
Why
doing
have I asked him? Okay, I shouldn't have asked him.
I bet you what you're doing is you have your computer on and you're like, I'm gonna write it, and then you start doing you open up YouTube and start doing some research, and then let me check Instagram. Oh, let me go make myself a smoothie. What needs to happen for those 2 hours is you need to lock yourself in a room, turn off every distraction possible, make yourself bored. So literally, other than writing, you can't do anything else. And you set your timer for 2 hours. And when you do it for 2 hours, I guarantee you, the best stuff are gonna come out.
Because I have done it, I have delivered 2 copies for 2 websites in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But when I say 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it was like some days I was like writing all day long with my head was, my brain was burning. But things have to be worked out in my head first. The idea is
what I'm trying to say is once you're bored, like once all distraction is off and you're staring at that blank page and you have to force yourself to write on your board, those ideas will come to you much faster rather than trying to let it happen.
I use deadlines. I use them. I like them. Who, me?
So maybe for you, it's
them.
like more time management in a sense that you need to group all of your writing time into one day, and maybe you need to group all your meeting time into another day or something like that, right?
Maybe.
For me, like that's how I do it.
You said it before. You said it before, and it's totally true. After a Sunday service or a meeting, a group meeting or a meeting with a client, I'm super high. Like I can't work after that. So maybe the meetings have to be, one after the other, because
it's too. For me, it's a totally different mindset. So, for example, if I'm in my little hole, writing or designing, I'm in that analytical mind. What happens is, and then also, like, I know I will go to a meeting like in 30 minutes. I don't want to stop. I want to keep working on this, right? I don't want to stop this to go to that meeting, because now I have to turn off this one other side of the
That's exactly
right. And then once I'm when I'm on a coaching call or something like that, now I don't want to go back and do this, right? It requires completely two different sides of my brain to do this type of work and this type of work, that I have to separate those into two different days. It's like almost like I'm two different person when I'm either writing, designing, coding, doing something alone in my room versus doing something that's collaborative, talking, conversational, or something else. It's almost like I'm two different person.
Yeah. Which is crazy, by the way, because it's, I get tired a lot.
You get tired if you keep going, if you're trying to switch from this person to this person to this person.
No, I don't do this. I don't do that because it's a total waste of time. I can't adapt, from one to the other, from the one to the other, just like that. Just like you said, it's the same. It has to be done all together.
Yeah. So you need your writing days, which is separate from your talking days.
Okay. Oh, so do you have anything to ask me?
No.
No.
When people ask me that, I'm like, I think people really don't realize how I'm not kidding when I say my entire life's goal is to, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but I don't have a why. I don't have a goal. My goal always is moment to moment, is to be the best at whatever is in front of me. Right.
Okay.
So when I go on podcasts and interviews and things like that, people at the end, people always ask me this question. Like when somebody's interviewing me or something like that, is there anything you want to add? Is there anything that you want to talk about? I'm like, no, I didn't have anything I wanted to talk about when I started. I'm literally the way I live my life is I'm like that guy from Fast and the Furious. I live my life quarter mile at a time. Like, I have no agenda when I go into a meeting, wherever I go. It's not
hard
going
to believe this,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank God you're reacting. At least you're reacting. So, last thing. Let's play a game. Do you want to play a game?
Uh-oh. Sure, I'm not good at games, but I'll try my best.
I'm using a word, and you'll have to say what brings in mind, just with one or two words.
I'm so bad at this.
You're gonna be good. You can
because like I'm such an overthinker. So
that's why it's gonna be a nice game.
Okay.
You can still edit it. We're here for almost 3 hours. Oh my God. Have I killed you or something? Oh.
Was that a question? Was that one of the?
Yeah.
Is that the game?
No. Just one word, okay? What every word I use brings in mind for you. So marketing.
Branding.
Role model.
Guru.
I have to. Leader.
Teacher.
That was good. Gigi.
What?
Gigi.
Wifey.
Night Owl Nation.
Community.
Success.
Happiness.
Wow.
What?
I didn't see that coming. Okay. Korea.
Mom.
Oh. That's all. I have no other words. No other questions. I wanted to meet you, today and tell you, Sam, these are the questions I have to ask you. So maybe you should take this part and edit it and put it in, but it's gonna be, you see, it's night outside. It's dark.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's not going to be edited, because other than the time when I went to the bathroom and we do the switch, my editors don't really, because I feel like that's what podcast is, that people want to see.
It's too long. Can you imagine the live? Maybe, it'll be like.
This is how I feel about it. This is how I feel about social media marketing and things like that. And I feel pretty strongly about it. And for the last 3 years, now that I'm actually building my own personal brand, I became feel more strongly about it. And, when I work with my clients and things like that, I tell them the same thing. Okay, we need to shorten it. We need to make it concise, clear. We need to, that's what people are going to watch. Let's do all these hacks, and let's do the funnel. Like one of the things, like I know funnels work. I know that live webinar works. I know the fast action bonus where, okay, buy in the next 2 hours and get this works. I know all the marketing hacks that works. Like I know that FOMO marketing works. Actually, one of the things I tweeted was, the reason I'm not a fan of FOMO marketing, not because it doesn't work, but because it works too well. So I'm becoming much, much more, feeling more strongly about this. Like I really feel like, okay, if this is too long, you don't want to listen to it, fine, don't listen to it. Like if Night Owl Nation is too much work, you don't want to join it, you don't want to, you don't want to come do the practice, fine, don't join it. I don't want to force you to join Night Owl Nation and then not do the work, right? Like I'd rather you not join. And fine, because I at the end of the day, I feel strongly that in the long enough timeline, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if Night Owl Nation really is providing value, is changing people's lives, and is really helping them, I strongly believe that it's going to grow on its own. People who've had success in Night Owl Nation will tell their friends about it, and once they have success, they're going to tell their friends about it. And I have no doubt that it's going to work as long as it's good. I'm not interested in doing some, editing out the podcast and things like that, so to water it down for the mainstream audience. I'm not interested in doing any of that. And that's why a lot of the things that I tell people to do, I tell people to do the funnel. I tell people to do these marketing FOMO tactics. And I tell people to do that because that's what they want. They want to make money right now. They want high conversion right now. They want to do $1 million launch right now. So all I'm telling them is if that's what you want, I'm not going to stand in your way. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm not going to tell you what's morally right, wrong. I'm going to give you the tools to do it. If you want to do it, that's your choice. I'm personally not going to do it, even though I know how to do it. Do you know what I mean? And that's my choice. So maybe we could end it there. I don't know if you want to respond to that.
Was I gentle to you? Was I okay?
Yeah, it was fun actually.
I haven't made you cry.
You didn't make me
I
cry.
was good.
That's good.
No, I was nice to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for going easy on me.
yeah. So, I have my people, friends, close friends.
In Greece?
Yeah, they want to be there to the premiere. So it's almost 3 hours. They're gonna cry because the premiere is 11 p.m. in Greece. 11 at night. And they want
Oh
to
my
see it, and
gosh.
they are interested, and they are following you, most of them, and they will cry. They will be like,
We'll see.
wow.
Like, see, maybe you should give them some credit. Maybe like, because that's how I feel, right? Like a lot of people say that about Night Owl Nation and be like, son, it's like too much work. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Then don't come. Then don't join. Don't come.
Yeah,
Like,
well, of course I will be like that. Yeah.
but then and my job is to try to make it as engaging as possible, as fun as possible, and be as present as possible so that they'll enjoy themselves, right? And that's the reason why I come on those premieres and chat with people, because I want to make that conversation also engaging too, right? So
Sometimes the
thing I can control,
conversations, yeah.
the only thing we can control is to be as present as possible. And if you're on the chat, if you're on conversation, if you're washing the dishes, whatever you're doing, just be 100% in it, right? With all of your focus and all of your attention and all of your energy.
Yeah.
And then whatever
like
comes
that.
out of that is what was going to happen.
Or maybe it's going to be you, me, and Gigi in the premiere and talk to each other.
Then that's what it is.
Have a great time. Okay.
And we'll make the most of it.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll
Gigi won't even be there.
I will meet Gigi when you come to Greece. So
Yeah.
okay with me.
Okay. Thank you for chatting. It must be really late there now.
It's not late.
Not that late.
It's not late, but it's it's done.
Yay!
Yay! I'm alive.
That was nice. It was so nice talking to you. And
it's always nice talking to you. I'm always very, very, very happy when we talk.
Is there anything you wanna say before we call it a night?
Thank you. Thank you very much, because it's like, for me, it's huge.
Oh.
Yeah. It is.
Thank you, Katerina. So good to talk to you. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
I will hopefully see you on Sunday. And enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.
Annyeong. Bye.